Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Patmos coming to you live from someplace better than the United States. Anyhow, I wanted to do a little talk today about a problem that is pathognomonic in the anti-vax community. No matter who you talk to in the anti-vax world, even as high up as Robert Kennedy, there's a basic principle of science that these people don't get, and that is that association does not prove causation. It derives from the basic principle of a logical fallacy in logic called post hoc ergo propter hoc. For those of you who took Latin in high school, which I certainly hope you did, post hoc ergo propter hoc means that if this, then that. And it speaks to two events in time. If one event occurs and then a subsequent event occurs, the temporal relationship is illogically assumed to cause and effect. A B is believed to follow A. That you can't say that A and B, just because there's a temporal relationship doesn't mean there's a causal relationship. These two events are associated in time. They're not caused by one another necessarily. So understanding post hoc ergo propter hoc and the logic fallacy behind it is a key basic principle of sixth grade science. This is something you should have been taught in the sixth grade. And if you don't remember it, then you need to go to summer school. Now, why am I bringing this up today? I'm bringing this up today because one of my friends on Facebook sent me an article that was popularized or spread around by McCullough Foundation and Peter McCullough and his pseudo epidemiologist Nicholas Hulsher, who are notorious for spreading absolute garbage studies that have no value at all on the McCullough Foundation website as somehow being valid. And the anti-vaxxers trot out this study that it purports to show that children who are vaccinated are sicker than children who aren't vaccinated. And so I wanted to address that and explain why that study is a piece of garbage and why you can't draw those conclusions from that study. That study was never published in any real medical scientific journal. It would never pass muster. It would never pass peer review. So what was this study that my friend on Facebook shared with me? Well, it was a study that looked at the rate with which children who go to the doctor and have diagnoses versus children who don't go to the doctor and don't have as many diagnoses and their rate of immunization. And the study concluded, that children who don't go to the doctor are less likely to be immunized and less likely to be sick. And children who go to the doctor are more likely to be immunized and more likely to be sick. Therefore, the implication is that vaccination is what's making the children who go to the doctor sicker and the children who don't go to the doctor less sick. So in other words, vaccination causes disease. That's the implication of the virus, of the study, and that's what the anti-vaxxers are running around saying that it shows. It does not show that. Let me punch a few holes in that. Again, association does not prove causation. So let's say that the raw data is correct, that children who go to the doctor are more likely to be vaccinated and more likely to be sick versus children who don't go to the doctor, who are less likely to be sick and less likely to be vaccinated. Well, guess what? Sick children go to the doctor. Less sick children don't go to the doctor as much. Most parents don't take their children to the doctor unless they're sick. If you have a kid who's healthy and never seems to be sick, they might only get, an annual checkup once a year or even less often than that. But if your child is sick with diabetes or other serious medical problems, they're going to go to the doctor a lot. So, shocker here, sick children go to the doctor more than not sick children. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that. And children who go to the doctor often are more likely to get recommended to be immunized by their doctor than children who don't go to. If you don't go to the doctor, who's going to tell you that you need to be? Who's going to tell the parent they need to be immunized? So, of course, children who go to the doctor a lot tend to be sicker, have more visits, have more diagnoses, and are more likely to be immunized. What that you can't draw from that that the immunization is the reason why the children are going to the doctor more and are sicker. That can't be drawn from this study design. That conclusion is not supported by this study design. Let me punch a few more holes in it. Now, shocker here. Did you know that patients who go to a cardiologist are more likely to have heart problems? Did you know that patients who go to an oncologist are more likely to have cancer? Did you know that patients who go to a psychiatrist are more likely to have mental health disorders? Did you know that people who go to lawyers are more likely to have legal problems? Did you know that people who go to see a plumber are more likely to have plumbing problems? Did you know that people who go to the car repair shop are more likely to have problems with their cars? These observations don't improve that going to the car shop is the reason why your car is having problems, or going to the plumber is the reason why you have plumbing problems. It's the same exact concept. Association does not prove causation. Just because a child goes to the pediatrician more and has more diagnoses and more visits does not prove that their immunization is the reason for it. That is association and versus causation. The most likely explanation, the logical explanation for such an observation, is that people who are sicker go to the doctor more than people who aren't as sick. That's kind of basic logic. So the study that these anti-vaxxers are tossing around, like Peter McCullough and Nicholas Holscher, is really, I mean, this is something I would expect a sixth grader to be able to look at that study and punch holes in it left and right. There is no excuse for an adult with even the modicum of the most minimal education, a high school education, to fall for that kind of ridiculousness. You need to be smarter than this and recognize that association does not prove causation. Let me give you my favorite example that I used to give to my patients for years. Did you ever notice that I got a vaccine on July 3rd. The next day, there were fireworks everywhere. I think that vaccines cause fireworks. What do you think?